Hello and welcome to the Harleyville Argos Cement Plant. I'm Mike Sager, the plant manager. Safety is a core value of Argos, and we expect everyone coming onto our site to participate and contribute to a safe work environment. Your attention to this presentation and diligence while on our site is expected. Please notify your contact regarding any safety issues whatsoever. We believe in zero incidents, whether you are an employee, contractor, or visitor.
As an overview, we're going to talk about the following subjects: MSHA rights, zero tolerance and our 6 critical safety rules, parking, directions, and plant overview, emergency situations, Argos safety policies, personal protective equipment, working at heights, confined space, and lockout, tagout, and tryout, safety requirements and hazard communications, plant regulations, and environmental awareness. MSHA safety regulations must be followed. The mine operator, contractors, and subcontractors are subject to strict liability and substantial financial penalties. Argos contacts will assure that any visitors observe all mine safety standards and aren't exposed to any hazards of the mine. Contractors may require more specific review on plant safety practices, such as confined space and risk assessment. Contractors must have their own MSHA ID number. Please report any safety hazards immediately. There are 6 critical safety rules. Zero tolerance for violations that fail to use seat belts while driving, mandatory wearing of PPE, that is helmet, safety glasses that include integrated side shields, safety shoes, and high visibility vest or uniform, observing lockout, tagout, and tryout for proper energy isolation prior to work, use of fall protection for working at height, completed confined space permit when required. Keep all safety devices operational. Violations of the plant safety rules will result in the immediate stop to the work and suspension from working at the facility. The speed limit on all plant roads is 10 miles per hour. Contractor parking is located north of the storeroom building. Do not use the Argos employee parking lot. Please back in when parking your vehicle. If parking is not available, your Argos contact will instruct you as to where to park. You must have permission from your Argos contact to leave a vehicle overnight. The length of the plant runs south to north, with the raw mill, kiln, finish mills on the west side of the plant, the office in the middle, and the storeroom and the pack house to the east side. The quarry is located at the north end of the plant. The plant first aid room is located beside the control room. For anyone with a pacemaker, please take a moment to review the precautions available from recognized medical institutions. Yield to all mobile equipment. Stay in designated walkways. Treat all equipment as though it is in motion. When approaching mobile equipment at operation, remain at a safe distance until the operator acknowledges your presence and motions you through his work area. Please keep in mind, before accessing the raw material reclaim area, the reclaim operator must be notified of your presence. Mobile equipment operators should maintain a safe separation zone while operating mobile equipment near power lines. Workers operating mobile equipment need to look up and check for overhead power lines before beginning work. When operating mobile equipment in close proximity to power lines, operators must maintain a safe separation zone of 3 to 7 meters depending on the voltage. Use of cell phones while operating mobile equipment is prohibited in all areas of the site. Many areas around the kiln, the preheater tower, and the clinker cooler can be hot and burn you. Air cannons are located in several locations. These may discharge without warning. Stay clear of all rotating equipment. Do not wear loose clothing when around rotating or moving equipment. Equipment will start automatically, and startup alarms will sound for 15 seconds before the equipment starts. Be aware of falling materials from overhead conveyors and platforms. Be aware of your surroundings when walking through the site to avoid slips and trips. Surfaces can be slick even when dry. For plant emergencies, a mine emergency alarm will sound. Contractor employees should report to the main parking lot that is just south of the pack house immediately with all of their employees. Do not leave until instructed to do so, and do not go back and look for other employees. Emergencies should be reported to the control room immediately and can be done by either of the following: an Argos employee to call the control room on their handheld radio, send someone to the control room, call the control room at extension 11136, that is 11136, using one of the phones located throughout the plant. Smoking is only allowed in designated areas where trash receptacles are present. No smoking is allowed in posted no smoking areas, mobile equipment, or buildings. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons are allowed on plant property. Seat belts must be worn at all times. The use of cell phones while operating the vehicle is prohibited. Do not drive over welding leads or cutting torch hoses. All vehicles should be marked with company name on them. Perform vehicle pre-shift inspections and complete the inspection forms. Tire chocks must be used when parking company vehicles. Appropriate personal protective equipment is required in all plant production areas excluding offices and eating areas. Appropriate PPE includes hard hats, safety glasses with integrated non-detachable side shields, safety shoes, high-visibility vest or clothing when transiting areas where moving equipment is operated. Other PPE such as dust mask, hearing protection, and gloves may be required depending upon the areas of your visit. Safety harness and lanyard whenever you are working at heights is required. Please see your Argos contact for more information. Prohibited practices include the use of a crane, forklift, end loader, and other similar equipment that is not under the direct control of the person being hoisted to hoist personnel, and this is prohibited. The use of an end loader, excavator, or skid steer, or similar equipment to hoist personnel is strictly forbidden. The nature of our operation presents numerous safety issues that may not be readily apparent to everyone. Our plant has specific standards when it comes to working at heights, working in confined spaces, performing hot work, and locking out equipment. Along with these standards, we require that before all work is performed, a field risk assessment be completed. Work with your Argos point of contact for clarity on these programs and detailed instructions on how to use the FRA, that is the Field Risk Assessment. The Field Risk Assessment, or FRA form, combines multiple safety permits into one. These must be completed prior to beginning your work tasks. The process prompts workers to reduce safety hazards before the job begins. More complex jobs may require a project-level risk assessment. Your Argos contact can answer any questions. In addition to a field risk assessment, a safe work permit is also required when energy isolation, that is lockout, tagout, and tryout, is required, confined space work, and hot work is actually required on the job. Forms for this permit are located in the control room. They must be signed by the supervisor before and after the job and before any work starts. The form must remain in the control room after being signed by the appropriate parties. Fall prevention usually begins with a field-level risk assessment or job plan. falls from even a small distance can be very serious. The company has zero tolerance for working at height issues. Seemingly innocent activities like standing on guardrails have led to serious injuries. Contractors must review working at heights aspects of their work carefully and plan for rescue ahead of time. This includes flatbed drivers coming into the plant. Any and all equipment, if started, poses a risk to workers and has to be reduced into a zero-energy state. Thus, any equipment to be worked on has to be at a zero-energy state. Energy state can be defined as electrical, such as live, stored, or static, mechanical, hydraulic, pneumatic, gravity, vacuum, thermal, compressed or extended springs, and/or residual materials in vessels, pipes, and tanks that can cause thermal or pressure buildup. This zero state must be achieved in equipment locked out, tagged out, and tried out by all individuals with their personal locks before the work can begin. Group lockouts are used in specific groups of equipment in the plant. They allow workers to lock out multiple pieces of equipment in a system with just one personal lock. Group Latoto procedures are posted above the group lockout box. This lockout has to be performed, and it has to be signed by an Argos HRL manager, coordinator, supervisor, or inspector. These HRL group lockouts are located at: for the cooler, kiln coal mill dust collector, kiln and kiln firing system, and finish mills 1, 2, 3 at a Latoto center in the hall near ER 09. For the VRM, HGG, PC coal, and PC dust collector at a Latoto area in ER 01. For finish mill 4, the Latoto area is ER 16. For the quarry, the Latoto area in the quarry is ER 05. Always make sure that you remove your locks when you have cleared the work area. Never leave your personal lock on equipment when you leave the plant. Your Argos contact will provide more detailed training on our group Latoto procedures. Plant workspaces that require a confined space permit are marked with a sign at the entry point. If you are required to work in one of these areas, a confined space permit is required to be filled out, and proper procedures are followed to perform the work. Refer to the Confined Space Permit section of the FRA form on page 4. In addition to filling out the permit, you will also need to get the fact sheet on that particular confined space. Check with your Argos contact or your shift supervisor to ensure that you have followed all procedures correctly. Contractors must be familiar with the process for securing work areas. Visitors and others must adhere to these guidelines. Yellow-taped areas should be avoided and entered only after a review of the hazards and using caution. You should never enter a red-taped area unless you have been given authorization by the party that is in control of that work area. Make sure that all barricaded areas that you have taped off are tagged with your name, company name, date, and phone number. When loading or unloading materials, make sure that the surrounding work area is free of all hazards. This includes on the ground and above the ground, and especially power lines. There is no access to the electrical rooms, MCC Motor Control Center, without being accompanied by an authorized personnel. Only authorized personnel can disconnect or work in motor control centers. The only access allowed would be with further electrical safe work practices training and accompanied by an authorized Argos personnel. On the plant site, we have stockpiled materials that can pose hazards. These hazards include sliding or slumping materials, along with mobile equipment working in and around the piles. Do not climb piles of materials. Stay back 33 feet or 10 meters from working faces of those piles. Allow 4 feet of clearance beside railroad tracks. Pedestrians crossing tracks should stay 25 feet away from any rail cars. All vehicles must come to a complete stop, and then you must look both ways before crossing the railroad tracks. All rail mobile equipment or escort vehicles always have the right of way. Conveyors are a leading cause of serious injury and fatalities. Always observe these rules. Guards must be in place when operating. Workers must not sit, ride, stand, touch, or walk on or under exposed conveyors. All conveyor energy sources must be isolated prior to maintenance. Workers shall be trained and competent to operate and maintain conveyors. Energy sources must also be isolated prior to clearing, cleaning, and clearing jams. Workers shall know the location and the function of all stop and start controls. Don't modify, misuse, or remove controls, interlocks, or warning devices. Workers shall ensure that everyone is away from conveyors before starting. Keep all clothing, tools, and body parts away from the conveyors. And workers shall report all unsafe conditions and behaviors. All portable power tools, extension cords, drop lights, and portable lighting has to be documented with annual inspections for proper grounding, cable condition, receptacles, and plugs in good condition every 12 months. Colored tape indicating that they have been inspected must be on all cords. On cords 10 feet or longer, colored tape is required at both ends. No splicing of the cords is allowed. HAZCOM information can be found in the form of safety data sheets or SDSs and can be requested by phone or from a website. Ask a plant employee for assistance. You can also call 1-800-451-8346 to request this information. Tell them you're at the Argos Harleyville plant and an SDS can be faxed to the main office. SDSs also can be accessed at 3eonline.com. Login and password info can be found on the safety website. We need to briefly discuss your environmental responsibilities while working on site. If you are working with equipment that requires DHEC approval, submit a copy of your permit to the plant point of contact. If you see a leak or a spill, particularly if it involves oil or a hazardous substance, immediately notify your Argos point of contact. Remember, your work on site is not complete until your work area is cleaned of all work-related debris and trash. Do not use plant air to blow off dust. Use the blow-off stations located throughout the plant. Only certified persons are to perform electrical work. Do not alter or disable any equipment in any way that will degrade the safety integrity of that equipment. Use handrails when going up or down stairs. And before accessing the lab or quarry, you must get access approval from your Argos contact. Do not take plant property off the plant site for any reason. Violators will be prosecuted. Do not videotape or photograph the plant process without written consent. All plant airlines are connected using Chicago fittings. Please don't modify these fittings, and make sure that the fittings have safety pins installed at both ends. Loose clothing and jewelry, such as rings, watches, necklaces, should not be worn in the plant where there is a risk of getting caught in equipment. The Harleyville plant employees participate in behavior-based safety programs that promote safe work behaviors designed to improve our safety culture. During the course of your work on this site, you may be observed by salaried or hourly employees. Through these safety observation conversations, it is their goal to encourage positive safe behaviors and to make sure that you are working safely. The plant phone number is 843-462-7651. Break room and restrooms are located in the northeast section of the maintenance building. Vending machines and microwaves are available in the break room. Any alternative arrangements for break areas, toilets, and the like during turnarounds will be communicated by your Argos contact. Please fill out your site-specific training form for your company by printing and signing your name and date next to your name. Contractors must sign in their employees in and out every day that they're on site. The sign-in and out sheets are located in the maintenance office. Other visitors sign in and out at the main office.